guys have said a bunch to ignore the possibilities because they're rare and defending against them costs money. And if you take that money and use it to defend against DTs and then they don't come, that puts you slightly behind. So another thing that's really helpful against DTs, that's what this guy is going to do. His name is Aaron, and he's going to DT rush me. Is to note that usually if someone wants to DT rush you, they're going to use all their chrono boost on probes because you can't use chrono boosts to get DTs out any faster, so there's no point in chrono boosting or in saving chrono boost. Another thing to note is that usually DTs come off of one gate for a really long time, and then they throw down the DT thing and then 2 more gates. And so in general, if you poke with your second Marauder off of a normal opening, you should be able to just get in there and wait for him to waste all his force fields and then kill him. So usually if you just do a 5-minute and 30-second poke with 2 Marauders and 4 Marines, you'll kill a guy who's going for a DT rush. In this game, I did my build a little weird because I wanted to trap this probe, so I delayed the gas and I threw down this second supply depot, and I've been doing this a lot lately just for cuteness sake. Or, I mean, because it's a free probe kill, and all it costs you is probably 2 Marines, so it's not really worth delaying 2 Marines to get the free probe kill. I should stop doing that. But anyway, I think that was a mistake that I won't be doing in the future. He did a little gas steal, which doesn't really matter at all because I wasn't going to get my second gas for a long time anyway. And now I'm going to go for the 2 racks, but usually your reactor core and your tech lab are both going to finish at exactly the same time if you build the second racks before the second depot. And that's important because we're going to see how much later my tech lab is going to be. Like, my army size at 6 minutes is supposed to be 1,000, and I'm not supposed to have a bunker. I had to build the bunker because I delayed the second rack. So building the supply depot threw everything off. I needed a bunker because of the depot. I ended up getting an early factory because why not? I had all this money that I couldn't spend at all. So at 6 minutes, when I normally have a $1,000 army, I have 700 plus a bunker, which is 800, and enough for 1,000, including that tech. But instead, I'm going to spend it on the starport. So not hugely smaller army, but so small enough that there's no way for me to have poked. At 5 minutes and 30 seconds, I don't have any Marauders, let alone 2. So you can see he's getting Hallucinate. I think that's really cool. He's going to use Hallucinate to warp DTs up onto the high ground. I like it, I like it. He isn't spending Chrono Boosts on things, which I think is just an indication that he probably just hasn't done this build a bunch of times. Now he's Chrono Boosting out Warp Gate tech. I think that's kind of weird. I guess if your DT Shrine finishes at the same time as your 3 gateways... Wait, no, he's Chrono Boosting out Hallucination. I was going to say, it's 7 minutes. He doesn't have Warp Gate? Yeah, he does. Of course he does. Calm down, brother. Calm down. Anyway, so the point is he's only had 3 units for the whole game. So for me to have not killed him by now is a big mistake. This build, anytime someone DT rushes you, they're killable. You should kill them before the DTs finish. And I just didn't even scout that he was weak and didn't go kill him. So I have more than enough to kill him, and I lost due to my own selfishness of not scouting and of not ever wanting to defend against DTs. So I'm okay with this. Like I said, there's 2 different things you can be safe against, DTs or Proxy 2 Gate, and this season I've been Proxy 2 gated twice and I've been DT rushed just this one time. So I'm totally fine with having 1 loss per season against people who DT rush. It seems like it's so easy to crush someone who DT rushes just by putting on early pressure that why not go crush him. So I might try again to do my earlier infantry pokes, but those infantry pokes are kind of susceptible to somebody who chrono boosts out 2 stalkers really quickly, because stalkers are so quick that you can't really get away, and then you're guaranteed to lose like 2 marauders for nothing. So I don't know. Anyway, the DTs kick my ass because they're always supposed to kick my ass, and then I slowly lose to Charge Lot Archon. Anyway, I just kind of, when I lose, I like to look at why I lost and when I lost and look at what it looked like at that time. It feels like, basically, in order for this rush to work, he needs Hallucinate to be done, and he needs Warp Gate, obviously, to be done, and the DT Shrine to be done. So he did it a little bit late, but let's say the earliest he could theoretically have done it would be And why would you chrono boost hallucinate if you're not gonna have? There you go. You're not gonna have the pylon in time. Okay, so hallucinate finished now, and he hallucinated the second he was able to. So I guess it did kind of make sense to chrono boost hallucinate. And there he warps in. So this is about the earliest he can do this. I did salvage my bunker, so he could have just walked DTs in the front door. There's no need to be all tricksy, but he would, how could he know I was going to do that? So, like 8-minute DTs. I've seen 7-minute DTs with even less defense. I think these 2 sentries really delay the DT push, but they also make him a lot more safe against early stuff. 2 sentries is not enough to resist an infantry poke, but 3 sentries is, and as long as you poke so late that he already has warp gate tech finished, he can just warp in a 3rd sentry and keep you force fielded forever. So this is reasonably safe. The only susceptibility of this build would be if I poked before warp gate tech finishes, and then he would just die. But I think force field is 15 in-game seconds, so let's see how close it would be. So theoretically, a 2 Marauder poke would leave my base at 5:30 and get to his base at like 6:15 right now. And he'd have 1 sentry, so it would be delayed until 6:30. And then by 6:30, he'd be able to warp in a 2nd sentry. And that'd delay for 15 more seconds, and then 6:45. I think I would have gotten up eventually. So he wouldn't have had enough for the 3rd sentry. So yeah, the thing is, this happens so rarely. DTs are so crazy rare on the ladder because they cost a ton of gas, and then if the Terran just makes 1 turret, you're completely screwed, or a Raven or whatever. It puts you really far behind on everything. Look at the size of his army; it's basically 0, right? So most people don't DT on the ladder, and so knowing what you should do to defend against it is kind of almost even a moot point, because you're never going to see it again while it's on your mind. You're thinking, okay, I should do this in case of DTs, I should do this in case of DTs, and you do that 100 times, and finally you're like, you know what, DTs aren't coming, and then the next game DTs come. So anyway, that's what happened. Suppose we can watch the end of the game from super fast forward perspective. By the time I got a turret or a Raven, see, I started the Raven, then he knocked down the starport. I should have repaired it or something, but I didn't have a scan, I didn't have a scan coming, and so that was dead, and then he delayed the turret. Finally I've killed the thing, but I've already lost 18 workers off of 1 base. That's really sad, and units lost is like 2,000 or 1,000. But that doesn't tell the whole story. I mean, when you only have 1 command center, you can't replace SCVs that die, so killing SCVs is really crazy important. He lets me know that he got up with hallucinated Phoenix, because he knows at this point there's no reason to keep secrets, the game's over. And then charge lots, squishiness, and Arcana. At this point the spending is double for him. I'm just losing those SCVs and having to stop mining and having to build turrets just really made it an unwinnable scenario. And then he kind of squishes me. The end. Dun, 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 na, 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 na.